All right, folks, welcome back to Indie Showcase Saturday, powered by The Shed, and we're up to the next game today. Once again, we are playing... This is a game that is available on multiple places, but we are playing it on the Xbox One, actually, because that is where they gave me press code for it. Though this is on the PC as well, and I think it's on the PS4 and possibly also the Switch. I really should look those up ahead of time. So it's another heavy pixel art game, and I thought this looked really cool. So this is called RIOT Civil Unrest, and is developed by Leonard, I am going to butcher this, I'm sorry, Leonard Menciari, and... This is a guy who's done a few small indie projects over the years. This one really interested me because it's a tactics game based around rioting, but you can play it from both sides. So you can play it as the rioters or as the police that are trying to put them down. And it claims that it plays obviously in very different ways because of that. And it also has a frankly really amazing looking pixel art style. So it's quite interesting. As you can see here, the reviews for this are pretty mixed. I'm going into this blind, so I have not actually looked at the reviews. I don't know why people seem to be pretty divided on this game. It's Steam reviews, which means I'm sure it's not because people are screaming, you know, that this game is about rioting and it's horribly insensitive and everything like that, because Steam reviews don't tend to really reflect that. So I'm curious about this, but this is on Steam. It is $17 US or approximately $19.50 Canadian. This is on the Xbox and the PS4 as well. Hang on a second. I'm going to see if it's on the Switch. It is on the Switch as well, so there you go. So it is on there. But we will be playing the Xbox One version because that is where they sent me code for it. So, all right, so we're going to give this a go here, and I'm going to project my source. Excuse me a moment again, guys. There we go. Okay. So we're going to check this out. Once again, guys, the picture quality off of here may be a little weird, and you're probably going to notice some frame like jumping around. That is not the game. That is my console capture device. It seems to be... I had an issue with it earlier this week that I fixed, and it seems to be doing other things now. I'm pretty sure it's going bad. So I'm going to aim to send it back to the manufacturer shortly. But, so if you see weird stutter and things like that, that is not the game's fault. And yes, Merge Games is the company that published this, which is kind of an up-and-coming indie publisher that's put out some interesting things. He has a disclosure up front about how he, yeah, they try to remain unbiased. In order to know more about the events here replicated, we recommend informing yourself as well. That's the other thing. There are missions in this that are based off of actual severe riots that happened in history, which I will give anybody credit for that, for being willing to take that on. Interesting loading screen. Again, much like Super Pixel Racers, chunky pixel art, though this seems more intentional. Oh, I really like this look already. Difficulty level 2 easy is what it defaults to? Question mark? 2 easy, challenging, or lawless. You know what? Let's start on 2 easy so that we can see what this is like. Oh, it's also got some sweet synth. I'm curious to see what the achievements for this are like. There's only 10. Complete, okay, stories. Oh, is this literally just complete each mission as the police and the rioters? Complete all levels as police with 0 violence. Complete all levels as rioters with 0 violence. So apparently you can do this without them resorting to violence? That's interesting. I didn't know that's how it worked. I thought the whole point of this game was the strategy around, like, how to manage violence. Now, I don't know what the difference here is between global and story. Welcome to global mode. Choose your faction and be prepared. Every action will have consequences. Your missions will become harder and harder without the public opinion in your favor. When the game becomes too difficult, try to play previous missions again with new strategies and new equipment to try to improve the global public opinion. Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, that sounds like something you should play after the story, so let's start with that. Wow, one of these is the Arab Spring. Holy jeez. So it looks like there's only 4 actual levels in it. Maybe this is what the complaint was on the Steam reviews. Difficulty too easy. Your units are more resistant to fear. Panic duration is reduced. AI reacts very slowly. Challenging is the game is balanced with quicker AI reactions, and lawless is AI will react immediately. I don't know what it means by react, so let's start on too easy. Madalena's Clearing. So I'm not sure what it's saying here. Is left I'm picking the rioters or picking the police? I'm not sure. Oh, look at this. The Italian government started building a massive transportation system in the Susa Valley, TAV high-speed train, to speed up the already existent transportation from Susa to Lyon or Lyon. Okay. So it gives a little bit of backstory. Okay, objective displacement. So clearly I'm playing as the cops. This is... Okay, Holy jeez. Calls additional help via social networks. So... This is not really tutorialized anything. Defensive gear basic. Well, I can't pick... Oh, cautious... Protected. Expected participation. So wait. If I change these, the number of people participating goes up or down? Flags quantity. Several, some, many, excessive, or none. Which changes the number of people in the riot? Crowd division I can't change. Hostility I can't change. I kind of don't know what I'm doing here, so... There's no, like, there's been no tutorial that I can see. What? Whoa! Protect all tents from being destroyed. Okay, so, oh god, I'm controlling a mouse cursor more or less with the keyboard. Okay, no. So wait, I'm moving... Police must destroy objectives in 4 minutes. So what am I doing here? I don't... Oh god, this doesn't seem... Okay, so I'm picking things on the upper left. So I'm moving my crowd around by dragging the mouse. Also, this is running at a really low frame rate. And apparently by pressing buttons, the face buttons, I'm doing various things. Like, I guess I'm using my tools, but I don't... It's also really zoomed out. Okay, so by using the right stick, I'm switching between these different crowds. So see those little blue hand icons? These are groups of the crowds that I can control. Temporarily reduces smoke grenade effects. So am I just supposed to, like, put the crowd in front of the police? The stimulants are kicking in? What? The barricade is gone. So what am I supposed to do here? Am I just supposed to I guess keep these crowds in front of the police so that they can't get to the objectives and hold them off for 3 minutes? Is that what I'm doing? Now, I'm going to say here that I understand that this is kind of an interesting tactics game because it is kind of a riot in the sense that the crowds are like... they kind of do what they want, right? Like, when I take control of a crowd, I'm kind of just sort of pseudo-directing them the way I want to go. By the way, guys, I apologize. I also noticed the game audio is way too loud. I'm going to turn it down a notch. So, like, the crowds, like, you see when I select a group, I can kind of sort of pull them all together. But when I leave a group, the AI kind of just starts doing whatever it wants to do. Which is kind of like real life, in the sense that, like, you know, crowds don't operate at your command, right? They kind of do whatever they want to do, to a degree. I kind of like that. But, like, the game hasn't really explained anything to me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, these various tools and effects, like, what am I actually accomplishing here? And, like, the stimulants, what are the stimulants? I don't understand. I will say the animation here is pretty cool, especially with the sheer ridiculous number of people there are on screen at once. And that it's, like, kind of managing all these actors is pretty cool. Okay, provoking. So that's the cops, I guess, right? I guess we're pushing too hard here. So the idea is, yeah, see, yeah, we have to keep the cops back, but if we push them too hard, they might get pushed into getting violent, right? So the idea is that I guess we're supposed to keep them back, but also not push our luck too hard, because we might get them to go violent on us. But, like, I have these various tools and things, and I don't know, this might be one of those games where, like, the whole point is not to, like, where the whole point is that it doesn't tutorialize anything, because riots are kind of a chaotic thing, and they expect you to figure it out as you go, because a real riot doesn't have a tutorial. So we won. So, and this gives you a little newspaper snippet here with a screenshot from your mission. That's kind of cool. Okay. Well, we haven't played as the cops yet, don't forget. Okay, so what did we do there? It said we unlocked a pile of stuff. Okay, so we unlocked this campaign, I guess. Okay, so why don't we do the same thing where we'll try to play as the cops. Oh, wait a minute. You know what I just noticed there? There's multiple lanes of that. So it's not just one mission per protest. There was there was 4 levels there. So... Hey, Infinite. Yeah, I can understand that. I'm kind of the same. Actually, shoot. That's right. Thank you for reminding me, buddy. I meant to change the game name. I didn't actually do that. So, sorry. Sorry, folks. One moment. I always forget to change the bloody game name. I need to, you know what I need to do? I need to make myself like a little, funny enough, Mixer has this game that I'm playing in its database right now, and Twitch doesn't, which is surprising. Twitch has everything, like, in it normally. I don't think I have that set up, Infinite. I don't think I have game change commands set up. I should do that. because it would help in these situations. Yeah, that would help in these situations. So, okay, so here we go. So this is the police setup. So interestingly enough, this is a very different setup screen. So it looks like we're actually picking our different unit types here. So there's clearly a lot of depth to this here, which is probably quite a bit more important at the higher difficulties. So you have, thank you, buddy, appreciate it. So they have various different traits here, and it looks like they have a cost associated with them. It just says points. So I guess what you need to do, yeah, so total, yeah, so there it is. Police discipline 7, total budget is 4,043. So it looks like what you want to do is build up the best police force you can for the amount of money you're given. Which is probably difficult at, you know, trickier at the higher difficulties. But yeah, you've got weapons, you've got defense. Yeah, fair enough, I understand. Not like I don't have enough games anyway. So you have weapons, you have defense, you have members in the unit. So it's a unit you're buying, not just one cop. And then there's various different items. So, okay. I'm going to say this game, the concept is interesting. It is very confusing. The lack of tutorial was probably actually done on purpose, but it also is really hurting. Like, figuring this game out is really hard when it doesn't explain anything. So I actually have to destroy these objectives, and I have to do it with, just like before. Before I had to hold the cops off for a certain amount of time. This time I've actually got to destroy stuff, and I've got to be careful similarly to not push the protesters too hard, because they may break things, or they may get freaked out with me. Now, at the same time, how do I destroy the tents? Like, how do I hold to switch strategy, defensive, offensive? Use action to arrest a group of people. So how do I, like, destroy the tents? Well, technically you can, but your objective in this is to try to avoid... You're trying to avoid violence when you can, and if you have to use violence, you're supposed to use the minimal amount of it. These are actually, the interesting thing about this game is they're protests that are based out of actual, like, events that happened. So now I apparently am beating the snot out of people, which is not what I meant to do, but okay, then we did destroy their tent. There's actually achievements in this game for beating every mission without actual violence. But, like, so my objective here is to destroy these tents. So am I actually doing that by holding this group of guys by the tent? I don't know. Depends. Yeah, I used to do volunteer stage crew work for a musical theater company back in high school, actually. Miz is pretty good. Depressing as hell, but very well made, yes. I mean, it is called Les Miserables, so... Whoa, they threw something at me. Really? Oh, that's cool. That's ambitious. That's pretty neat. Okay, so there, it's destroyed now. Cool. How many people are involved? So I will say, I'm quickly beginning to understand. Oh, wow. Yeah, we didn't do anything like that in my school. We had very small, like, we had drama classes, and we had, like, some small things that they put on. I don't think they ever put on a musical at my high school. So I'm gonna say I can see where the mixed opinion on this game comes from. The lack of tutorial, like I said, was probably intentional, but I think it really hurts it. And because I don't understand, like, I don't understand how to use half of these abilities I have, because it doesn't really explain anything. I don't know why it's taking so long for these guys to destroy a tent of all things. And, like, I don't understand how to play. Like, I get that you're controlling a riot where you're controlling. It's really cool pixel art, but yeah, especially in this strategic view, everything is so zoomed out, it's very hard to tell. Well, this game is all pixel art, that's kind of the point. But, and it's supposed to look sort of low res like this, that's what the guy said. But when it's zoomed out in this tactical view, it's very hard to see what's going on. And I'm going to fail this because we're not going to nearly destroy these tents in time. And, like, I understand that the point of this thing is that it's supposed to show... It's supposed to show how chaotic riots are, and that you're not supposed to be in full control. Like, an RTS, this isn't, right? Like, you're supposed to be able to... it's supposed to be showing how... You know, riots are chaotic and they're messy, and you don't really get to you don't get to fully control the people, and there's going to be a lot of chaos because people are kind of going to do what they want to do and things like that. But at the same time, it means that it's incredibly frustrating to control and manage things. Okay, so you see here, so since we beat one of the 4 missions in this campaign, there's a new mission now that we can play, which is as the protesters, is to lead the crowd. So, and, like, again, I don't know what this means when it says, like, flags quantity. Like, if I change this, it shows how many people come. But, like, what do flags have to do with that? And also available items. So we have the ability here. So these are the different items that we can equip to do different things. So some of these are things that are kind of violent in nature. Yeah, it is Infinite. We're only doing 3 games today because I have a dinner thing tonight. So this is the second one, and the third game is actually on the Switch. These are games that are all on PC, but I got Xbox and Switch codes for these 3 titles for some reason. I'm not sure why. So this is on the Xbox right now that we're playing this. But this is on the PC as well. This is also on the PS4 and the Switch. So yeah, I see. So we have the ability, we have the megaphone. It's not, sadly. I have tried to reach out to Devolver Digital in the last couple of months now about 3 different games, and I can never get a hold of them. If I can find a way to reach them, they never respond. They just, I don't know, they just don't seem to be interested in working with small creators, which is odd to me, but, you know, it's up to them. So, okay, so I can do a megaphone, which kind of rallies people around you. So, like, this I think is cool. There's a lot of variety in terms of tools and strategies that you can apply and things like that. Like, there's a lot you can do. So you can really approach these missions in very different ways. And I suspect for the later missions, especially if you're going for the achievement to beat them without violence, you probably have to very carefully do that. No, Infinite, they didn't. I bought that, but that was before I was really doing a lot of streaming. I owned it for a long time before I first played it. They have code requests up for the new one on Keymailer, actually, so I could ask for one. I'd probably get it. No, I did not get Subnautica for free. I got a copy of it that I think I gave away, but the copy that I had I purchased well before I played it, actually. Or it was in a bundle or something, I don't remember. So, okay, so let's try this one. Yeah. That was a really good first offering. So, okay, so now as rioters, we have to get in this zone. So, this is interesting. Push forward! Forward, people! Also, I don't understand how to select my different items there in the upper left. It has not been clear about that. So must reach the target. So what does that mean? Like, I have people in here now, so... Oxenfree is a great game. I bought that for myself back when it was newer. Oxenfree is another one I highly recommend. That was easy! Holy jeez. They just basically let us walk right in. Yeah, Slime Rancher is is another good one. I've been grabbing every free game from the Epic Store. They've been putting out some pretty quality stuff on those free ones. Wait, you've unlocked Mattia Bordello, harmless kid that randomly creates chaos and violence around him. Well, he's not really harmless then, is he? Just saying. So, okay. So, we beat that one. I mean, GG us. Let's try another one. This is the Arab Spring. I should play through Oxenfree again, see if I get some different results. I quite enjoyed it. It was a good game. OBKB. So I picked Arab Spring, and this happened. Not a capture problem. It's the game. Oh my. Yeah, the game does have some... I've heard that, Infinite, that it does have some bits that are kind of frustrating. So I think the game basically crashed there, which is not brilliant. Yeah, I should too, Frelix. Oh god, that's... Is that part of the story, or is that a side quest? That's... Okay, at least it's that. Travel across the map without getting hit. That's brutal. That's a big map, too. Oof. Well, let's try Karate then, I guess. Yeah. The limited run one? Yeah, it looks good. For several years, the Greek government has planned to build a huge junkyard, okay. I would have liked to have known about that. Isn't Limited Run Games the company that's doing the deluxe edition? Oh, that's the physical edition. Never mind. I think you mean like the digital deluxe, I guess, right? Limited Run Games is this company that does physical editions of a lot of digital games for consoles in limited runs. It's more for collectors, but they do some special like collector's editions of games that come with some extra swag and stuff like that. So here I apparently have no ability. I start with no items picked. I wasn't sure if limited. Okay. I wasn't sure if Limited Run was doing it or not. There's a couple of different companies that do that. Limited Run has been doing quite a few. Limited Run did the cool physical collector's editions of Axiom Verge, which had some really neat stuff. So I don't... Okay. This time I had to pick stuff. Oh, Fangamer. Yeah, they're one of the other ones. Stop the Mat police from getting to the end of the road. Okay. I'm definitely going to say, guys, I understand now very much why the reviews on this are mixed. I really understand what they're going for here, and I actually applaud the concept. I think it's really neat. But the lack of a tutorial is just baffling to me. There's too many mechanics and too much stuff to manage and too much strategy to focus on in this for there to be no tutorialization whatsoever. And for there to be no explaining how these mechanics work and how you need to rally the different tools together and things like that. It really doesn't, it just doesn't feel cohesive without that explanation. Like, and some people will be into that. A lot of people like the idea of not, of having a game where, because you're trying to manage chaos and you're trying to manage a very complicated, you know, situation that is not disciplined, that you should, that you know, some people like the concept of the game being like, hey, throwing you into the deep end and being like, figure it out, because guess what, riots are messy, riots are complicated, and it's nuts, so you got to figure that out. I don't have a problem with that core concept, but it's that this is not showing me anything in terms of just how to play it. That doesn't really make it interesting. That just makes it frustrating. And, you know, again, oh, they pulled out the water cannon. Well, you're doing a bang-up job there, bro. Wait, is that a water cannon? Or is that like a tear gas cloud? It's actually hard to tell. Animate's really pretty, though. And you see, like, people are just so, like, in this, people are just so, because, and it's neat, right? Because you're sort of directing these large mobs of people, but you're directing them in a very indirect fashion, because large crowds of people are going to do what they do, and they, you know, they don't want to, you know, they're not gonna, it's not precise, you know, riots are not, like I said, riots are messy, riots are not precise, riots are chaotic, and I like that, but like, I really feel like I have almost no control in this situation. Like, I'm really, the game is, it feels to a degree like it's almost playing itself. And when it comes to, especially to setting up your forces, oh god, we just got tear gassed. Only have to hold them off for another 15 seconds. But like, when it feels like that you're, especially when you have to do your setups, right, of like figuring out your budget for your people and your police force, like how am I going to equip them, how am I going to set them up, how am I going to do all of these different high strategy layers that I'm sure are absolutely required to do the later missions effectively. Like, none of that's explained, and I really don't know how big a fan I am of that. I do like the pixel art. I think it looks neat. I think it animates super well. But yeah, I'm very quickly beginning to see why the reviews of this are super divided. This is made for a very particular type of player who wants a game to approach the difficulty and the strategy of things in a very particular way. And oh, I love this stuff, though. This is beautiful. So this is the Arab Spring. This is gorgeous. In Egypt, the unemployment rate is high and poverty is increasing every day. Okay. But yeah, like I really like the look of it, but I don't know how particularly well it plays. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just, you know, I'm someone who came from the old school era of games where you did have to figure out things on your own, and you did have to, you know, your hand wasn't held. And I'm not saying that this needs to hold my hand through everything, but it's got to do something more than it's doing right now. Like, it's got to do something more than just, here's a whole bunch of complicated setups for the police and the protesters. You know, have fun. You figure it out. I mean, the missions are short. You know, it's only, like, hold the cops back for a few minutes at a time. Oh, wow, this looks way complicated. So it's like, you know, it's only hold it back for, see, like 4 minutes, right? Now, the missions are probably longer at the higher difficulties. So the missions are probably longer at the higher difficulties. So having to retry frequently, that's a lot of cops. Having to retry the missions frequently would not be that big a time burden, but having to retry them constantly because you have no clue what you're doing and the game won't give you any help. Yeah. And obviously, as you can see, this has had some tech issues on the Xbox. We had this mission wouldn't load the last time until I quit the game and came back. There is a versus mode in it, and there is that global mode, which looks interesting, which looks like almost like a roguelike mode, where it's kind of like how far can you get through increasing difficulty where you can't fail. That's neat. I like that. Now, we're also playing on the easiest difficulty as well. I suspect this could get much worse and much more daunting if we were playing on the higher mode, for sure. But, you know, again, like the cops here, the cops have, like, tear gas. Like, I don't even know how to use that if I was playing the cops. You know, like, one of the items that I picked up here for one of my protesters was the ability to throw extra rocks. I don't have, like, that's not here. It's not in the menu. So, like, how am I, where are the extra rocks that I supposedly have, and how do I throw it? I don't know. Like, I picked it, but it's not here. So, yeah. I definitely get it. I think if you're the type of person who wants to figure this stuff out on your own and actually revels in that, and there are a lot of people like that, I mean, that's why the Souls games got popular, right? Then I think you could dig this, for sure. Me, personally, I think it looks really cool, and I love the idea and what it's trying to do here. You know, having to manage a riot and manage the chaos of that, both from two very different perspectives. And also the fact that they could have just put a whole bunch of fake riots and fake protests and stuff in here, but they didn't. These are all based around real conflicts that actually happened. That's ballsy to do. Like, I'm going to give them credit for that. Like, that's especially in this climate right now, it is a very gutsy thing to take on real world things like this and be like, hey, if you were running the Arab Spring riot, how would you do it? You know, credit where it's due. But I don't find this particularly fun. Games don't always have to be fun. Some games, especially games that are trying to teach something or send an important message, don't have to be fun in the traditional sense. You know, see Papers, Please, see This War of Mine, see games like that. But they still have to be engaging. And they still have to do things to keep you interested. And I don't feel this is really doing that. if I had a better clue how to manage things and how the controls worked and how to do this item management stuff, I would say then it might be better. But I don't want to spend half my time or more in this game just figuring out how to do it, like how to play it, because they didn't tell me anything. I would rather be spending my time applying the knowledge that I have been given to effectively work my way through it. Whereas here, like, I'm winning these missions because if I feel like we're gonna try one more here as the police in this place. I feel like I'm winning these missions just because, like, because of good luck, you know. Like, I don't feel like I'm winning because I'm doing well. It feels like I'm winning because I just did. And I will say this, at least based on the one mission I have played of the cops are much harder. Because all the protesters have to do is keep the cops back. The cops are the ones that have to make an incursion on them and push their way through the protesters, theoretically without hurting them. So they are definitely not doing the cops are definitely the much harder, even on the lower difficulties here. See, like, here is like evict the protest, and look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 7 different groups of cops I have to control. And like, you see, you can't even select them reliably because the selection process is based on where you're trying to point to relative to where your pointer is. So it's not just, you see, I had the group on the right there. It's not just I go up and down the group to select different ones. See, if I go up and down, it's moving all over the place because it's relative to where the next group is versus where I am, plus the, you know, the direction I'm pointing in. So it's really unintuitive and cumbersome. Oh, one of these units is also apparently a van. And also I'm just pushing people out of the way with my van. And apparently no one's too bothered by it. That's not really how vans work, but okay. Now you can do things like you can change your stance from defensive to offensive as the cops. You can be, you know, you can be aggressive. There is a key you press that basically tells the cops to go and start arresting people. So you see I grabbed a guy there and now I'm dragging him off. I don't really know how. Okay, so that brings up a target. So I have to hold the arrest button, basically point at a group, and then the AI takes over, and the guy goes and grabs somebody and pulls them back. And I guess the idea is that by arresting people, we're trying to intimidate the crowd into being like, hey, if you stay here, you're going to jail. Kind of thing, I guess. But you see, this is just, you see how messy this is? Like, it says I'm supposed to evict the people, so what does that mean? Like, there's this green circle, so I guess the idea is I have to get rebels out of there, but is it like get a certain number of rebels out of there? Is it get all of them out of there? Do they have to stay out of there for a certain amount of time? You know, what constitutes victory in this? I really don't know. So I guess what I'm doing is so when I arrest people, all the cops go in, grab people, run them off the screen, and then come back. So in theory, you're reducing the count of people here that you have to take care of. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. But like, you see what I mean? Like, I don't really know what I'm in control of here. Like, I don't know. I know kind of what I'm asking the cops to do. But is this working? Is it like, are more people showing up? Like, they're just crowding in here more. So like, is this working? Is this the right strategy? Like, is there a better way to do it? I really don't know. No, those are like flags and protest signs. Because there's been no violence yet. Yeah, it kind of does. You're right, it does. But there's been no violence yet because we actually haven't. You can do that at certain points to because your goal. That's the thing about this, right? What's interesting? You're given a goal to do, and how you do it is up to you. You can try to do it fully passive, or you can go full violent. You can start shooting at people to make them disperse. You can drop tear gas. You can drop. They've taken away our leader. See? So now that's either going to make them more annoyed or make them disperse. See, some are dispersing. So you can do like tear gas to make them disperse, right? As long as you accomplish your objective, it doesn't matter how you do it until the end, where the game judges you based on that. You're supposed to try to minimize violence, but you don't have to. You can totally win by just busting people up. And in some of these protests, these real-life protests that this is modeled after, that's exactly what happened. The idea is, it looks like, is you're playing these historical conflicts and trying to enact your own conclusion. Great concept. I really like the idea. I really like the idea, actually. I just think they didn't execute on it properly. If this game had a half-decent tutorial and it had a better control scheme, at least on console. On PC, if you're using mouse and keyboard, where you can probably just click on these different groups on the right, I bet it's way easier. I bet this game actually plays way easier with a keyboard and mouse than with a console controller. This feels like a PC game where they sort of smushed console controls on top of it. But I like the core idea they're going for. Being rioters or having to disperse rioters, two very different play styles, two very different perspectives, two very different ways of going about it. And there's clearly a lot of depth. There's a lot of tools. There's a lot of different configurations for your police squadrons that you can have. You can choose to approach the missions clearly in a number of different ways and achieve different results. If you're willing to dig into this and really put the time required into it to learn all its systems and to learn how to manage things and to learn how to manage the chaos and to manage the AI that's to a degree gonna do what it wants, this could probably be very satisfying. I can tell you right now that this game will just drive me crazy the more I play it, especially as the cops. Turning the difficulty up at all will just frustrate me because, and the reason for that is because that I'll lose and I won't know why. I don't mind losing in a game. I dislike it when I lose because it was unfair or because it's not clear at explaining to me why. And it feels like this would have a little bit of both of those things in it. So, yeah. Again, I understand why this game has mixed reviews. I also think that it is going to be... I can understand why it's divisive. And I can understand why... I can very much understand why some people would like it and some people would not. I think it's a cool concept. I think it's very much a... well-meaning game. I will give any developer credit who is willing to take on sensitive political topics like this, especially in this outrage-driven climate that we live in, and put something out there to say, here's my idea for how to maybe turn gameplay into a teachable moment and a teachable method. Definitely will give him credit for that. I just don't think it's a great game. And serious games don't always have to be fun, but they have to be engaging. In my short time with this, all I've been is frustrated. So that's my take on that. So that is Riot Civil Unrest, developed by Leonard Menciari and Ivy Productions, published by Merge Games. It is on the PC, the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and the Switch, as I understand it. Again, cool idea, not really my jam, if I'm honest. This is just not the type of game I would like. If I'm going to play a misery simulator, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play This War of Mine or Frostpunk or Papers, Please or something of that nature, I think. So yeah, yeah, exactly. Infinite. Serious but engaging. That's a good combination. Now, Detroit is obviously not anything like this, but there's a balance to strike, and I think these developers didn't lean into the gameplay side enough. But it feels like they're there. They could have gotten there. If this game does well enough that they could make another one and they could refine the mechanics and especially put in a really solid tutorial, I think they've got something interesting here. And I do like their art style and animation, even though it is a little hard to tell things at the zoomed out view. I do like that. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. If you are watching this on YouTube, please do the usual of liking, commenting, and subscribing and sharing around. That really does help the videos get noticed by more and more people. And the main reason I do this is both to show off cool indie games for you guys and to try to show the Shed, or rather to show developers that the Shed takes indie stuff very, very seriously. So we have one more game today. We are pivoting into a very different category after this. We are going into a shmup, and it is a shmup that is also on the Switch. So, yeah, stick around for that, guys. We got one more game today in the latest Indie Showcase Saturday. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.